Okay, everyone, welcome again to Matt's MtG Marketplace, and we're going to be looking at what I got from a sale recently here in Malaysia. And so, one thing I wanted to explain to the people that are outside of Malaysia is something called a claim sale. And so, what a claim sale is, usually in one of the Malaysian groups, they will post a bunch of pictures of cards, right? And they'll have their quantity or the price of the card in the picture. And so let's say, for example, they have this, right? So there's actually 4 in here. This is not from the sale, but let's say they have this card in there, and maybe they have a picture and there's like 4 of them, or maybe there's this and a bunch of others, and they'll say, oh, these are all RM1, so 1 Malaysian ringgit, which is roughly, I think right now it's roughly like 21 to 23 cents. And so that's what they'll put for these, right? And then some claim sales, they'll be like, oh, if you get a play set of cards, they're RM1, or if you buy the play set, it's RM3, for example, or RM2, or sometimes it's like CKD, which is Card Kingdom, times 2.5. And so you could pay under a ringgit, but usually it's a ringgit minimum when you buy a card, like the lower end cards. And then higher end cards are like CKD times 2.5 times 3 times 2.8, and that's the price you pay. But also the other way they work is, and the reason why the secondary market is popular to buy from is because when you buy from card shops, they have raised their price over time, and so they're almost conversion rate. So a lot of shops will sell at times 4, or even for like non-foil cards, they'll sell by times 3.5. So this sale that I'm going to show today was times 2.5 or lower. And then some of these low-end cards you'll see from the sale are, what's the word to put it? Were free. So like if you bought 4 low-end cards, the 5th one was free, or it was buy 3 low-end cards. The 4th one was free. If it was buy 4, it was the 5th one was free. I can't remember because it was about a month ago. Now with these cards, some of them I got just because they were older and fun and I didn't have them. And then some I got because they are hard to find. So some older card sets are really tricky to get here in Malaysia. So these are just some of the cards. Just going to go through them. And so if you want to think about it this way, he's really cool. I'm thinking about building out either a pre-modern soldier deck or maybe a soldier commander deck. And anything crazy. Try to stick within a budget price. But if you want to think about it this way, as just a basis, each of these cards, a single copy, so some of these have multiple inside, like a play set. So each of these cards is probably 25 to 30% below market price that I got them for. So, which is a pretty good deal. Dawn Charm, excellent. Fun card for Pauper. Glint Hawk, just got it because Scars cards are really hard to find here. From Scars Maraudin. From Visions. This is great for quite a few Pauper builds. Guardian of the Guild pack with that protection from mono color. Lots of fun little combos you can build off him. He fits in as long as there's white. So hard to find guild pack singles, and hard to find this card in particular. So when I saw this go up for very cheap for the playset, I snagged those up real quick. Mana Tithe, counter target spell unless controller plays 1. Classic white card, also fun in Pauper. Nevermore. As Nevermore enters the battlefield, name a non-land card. That named card can't be cast. Always picking up some slivers. Those are fun. To Arms. Fantastic card. Evacuation. 8th Ed. Love me some ninjutsu. I'm thinking of actually building out a Pauper ninjutsu deck, and this one is a contender for the commander. Still deciding between a few others, but it's fun nonetheless. Curse Catcher, so it's good to get a couple of him. Again, some of these ones I grabbed, they were super cheap, older sets, hard to find here. Love Psychic Barrier. Basically, it's to counter creature spells, so I would put that in as a sideboard for a creature-heavy opponent, because I play Pauper, so that's why I mention Pauper a lot and mostly focus on commons and uncommons. But I also like that it can ping the opponent for 1. Aquamoba. Draw 2 cards and sacrifice a permanent. It's fun. You can do some fun stuff with this guy. Dream's Grip. You can, for 1, you can either tap or untap, but if you pay 2, you can tap and untap. You can make a creature blue and untap it, and draw a card. Fun card. Fidian Eye. Whenever enchanted creature deals damage to an opponent, you may draw a card. 3 mana, flash enchantment. Got a few play sets of him. Mana Leaks. When they're basically way below 25 cents, I always grab a couple because I run a lot of blue. Slip Through Space. Those are really fun. Mostly because you can make a creature unblockable for 1 turn, but you also get a card draw out of it. So fun for turn 2 if you don't have a way to get your Ninja of the Deep Hours out. You can do Slip Through Space on him for the second attack where he's not being ninjutsu'd in. Get a draw card and a second draw card off of him. I like that combo. Seal of Removal. 1 out, sack it, and then return it to your hand. Always good. White spells and black spells you play cost 1 less. Those are always fun, those familiar cards. Sunscape Familiar is probably my favorite, though. Drift of Phantasm, Defender Flying, can transmute. Deep Analysis, classic for Pauper, especially if you're running a Tolarian Terror deck. It's a great card, especially with the flashback. Return a creature. Again, you can pop this in, have a 1/1 flying, take your ninja back. So there's a ton of things that aren't in meta currently with blue. But if you want to mix it up and maybe do something that no one's expecting, or you got a budget and this is all you have, rock it out. Sleep, few copies. Again, you're like, why'd he get these? Well, that's because when they're 25 to 30% below market, might as well pick up some playable cards, right? So get a played set of Freed from the Real for 30% cheaper than market price, right? Why not? If you haven't noticed, you're seeing a lot of blue. Then shuffle a card from your hand to your library, so you get to draw 2 for 2. See Beyond. Thwart. Return 3 islands you control to their owner's hand instead of paying Thwart's mana cost. You can counter target spell. Not great, but fun. Anyone creature gains flying to the end of turn, you draw a card. I like it because it's from Portal, and I always like to pick up Portal cards just because I love the text on it, that thick, bold text. Pestermite, very fun, comes into play. Any tap or untap target permanent. I love things with flash. Now, Mistblade Shinobi. This is a fun one. So, for a long time here in Malaysia, I wanted to build, basically, if you watch Propaganda, he has a 0-hour deck. I wanted to build that, but I wanted to throw in Mistblade Shinobi instead of Moon Circuit Hacker for various reasons. But I could not find this card for the life of me. It took me 4 months just kind of scouring pages and posts and shops to find this card, Mistblade Shinobi. I finally have 3 playsets of Mistblade Shinobi, and that was a labor of love. Love it. Love returning a target creature to an opponent's hand. Yeah, it's fantastic. Deep Channel Mentor, gotta love them. Arcane Denial, I also love this. Miscalculation. Ninja of the Deep Hour. Again, I always pick up. Every time I do a claim sale, if they have him, I always pick him up. Love Ninja of the Deep Hour. He is my favorite ninja. Snapback, great. Especially if you have that extra blue card, like if you have an extra island in your hand that you do not need, especially in Pauper, you can exceed the utility of islands, depending on your hand state, your board state. And so if you can basically snap your creature back and protect it for the cost of a extra island you don't need, that's great. Stony Brook Banneret, or sorry, not island, but like an extra creature or something like that, or a spell that doesn't have utility, because your island won't count as a blue card. I wanted to correct that, just popped into my head. Stony Brook Banneret, Bannerets are fun. Sleight of Mind, it's cool. And a lot of these were the free ones that I got, where it was like, hey, if you get 4 of them, get a 5th one, 3rd of them. And there's a bunch of old ones, so I'd say, take the whole lot. It cost me like 6 ringgit, get a bunch of old cards that I can just do fun, janky drafts with friends in a box. Reality Acid. There's some fun builds in Pauper with that. Vapor Snag, love it. Do it, pull it back and 1 damage. Good for yourself or your opponent. Seagate Oracle. Sorry, I'm just fixing my stack over here. Prodigal Sorcerer, Dream Tides, Shadow Sliver. That's a fun one. All non-land permanents you control. Okay, went ahead and get these so I could get 2 different arts from alliances. Swamp Mosquito. Gaining Fear and drawing card. That's a fun build, or a fun card. Diabolic Tutor. It's good. I love Dash Hopes. Dash Hopes is fantastic in a black deck, mono black deck. I've run this in a couple different builds. Basically, it's a counter spell. But if they want to reverse it, they can pay 5 life. So I like it a little more for some sort of black mono deck that builds in burn as a mechanic, if that's one of the main mechanics of the black. This is a fun card because you can basically counter a spell or do 5 damage, unless it gets countered, of course, but that's what it is. In the middle of building out a Black Devotion Pauper deck, you gotta have Gray Merchant in there. You have to have them. Leeching Sliver. I am actually not a fan of slivers, but I'm slowly just building up the slivers that I have, because I don't have all the slivers, and eventually I might build out a sliver commander deck or something like that, but in the meantime, good to have them. Mind Warp, love the art. Seal of Doom, Vampire Nighthawks. Still one of my favorite cards in existence. When I was playing, they were still in standard, and I ran vampire decks. Loved them. Loved Vampire Nighthawk. Stronghold Spy. This is a fun card. Unearth. Love bringing from the graveyard into play. I like that it doesn't go to the hand. It's good. Plague Stinger. Again. Scars Marauder, hard to find. Older sets. Puppet's Verdict. I like the chaos of it with the coin flip. Heat Shimmer. And you can just create a token, and it has haste, and get to the end of turn. It can be something really good. Great for Goblin Pauper deck, or any Goblin deck, but again, I play Pauper, so Bright Stone Ritual, great. Bonus round. I love this. Just some copy. You get to copy some spells and sorceries. Shock, always important with the burn. Reckless Fireweaver, good card. Scred, love it. So one of my favorite decks at the moment. So I actually saw a build of a blue-red fairy Ninfei deck that I really liked, and it got second place at the Pauper Nationals in the Philippines. Saw the build, talked about how he used it in different decks, his pacing, what he sideboarded in against what was meta at that time. I think this was back in September or October. And basically you have your snow-covered islands and your snow-covered mountains. You run Scred for removal, got some lightning bolts, electricity for the low stuff is in your sideboard. You got the Relic of Progenitus in your sideboard to do graveyard hate with like Gurmag Angler, and this was actually before Tolarian Terror, but even more so, that's really important to run graveyard hate. So yeah, you should check it out. Blue-red Ninfei builds are quite fun, and Scred, it's a great card. A lot of value for 1 mana. Desperate Ritual, getting that splice into Arcane, or onto Arcane. Get some Smoke Braiders. Mana Geyser. Can be very fun card. Be a very fun card. I think this was a free one because there's no way I'd buy this. I have like 30 of these. Splice and Dice. Gorilla Shaman from Alliances. It's a fun card. Goblin Kites. Another Banneret. Molten Rain, destroy some lands. But what I also love about it, besides that destroy land, is if it's not a basic, that 2 damage. Love it for a burn. Absolutely love it for a burn. Whenever you successfully cast a creature spell, tap target creature. Onslaught. Fun card. Onslaught, not from Onslaught though. From Exodus. Early Harvest. Untaps all basic lands he or she controls. Fantastic for a mono green deck. That's for sure. Alright, so Balduvian Bears. Got a playset of him from Ice Age. Like bears. 2 for 2/2. It passes the vanilla test, right? Which, if you're familiar with that, if you're a Magic player, you know the vanilla test is the power and toughness equal to the amount spent. So if it's for 2 and you get a 2/2, it's not a bad card. Not a great card, maybe not even a good card, but it's not a bad card. Wild Growth. I wanted to get one with this old art, so that's why I bought these. I don't know, I just love old border. some land destruction for green, and you get to pull out a forest card and put it in play tap. So, not bad. Mutagenic growth, it's always good to get this. So I think I got these again. These were 30% off, but I got a play set and then 3 more. These are fantastic because if you are familiar with Phyrexian mana, you can either pay the color of that Phyrexian mana, which is green, or you can pay 2 life. So you can put this in a completely different colored deck and rock this card and get a +2/+2 as an instant. You can pop it off by paying 2 life. This is fantastic in Infect builds that don't have green. It's, you run an unblockable Blighted Agent or whatever. Absolutely amazing. It works in like I mentioned earlier, the 0 Hour deck by Propaganda with the ninjas in it and the 0 Ornithopters, 0 Phyrexian Walkers. Pop this in, boost it, save it from a lightning bolt. Just great stuff. Love mutagenic growth. Phyrexian mana is the bomb. Dryad Arbor, I didn't have one in this art, that's why I picked it up. Lumber Elves, picked up quite a few of them. I always like to try to get all the arts of Lumber Elves, just because it's a staple card in green. Boreal Druid, pick up some Farseeks, some Nature's Lore, Essence Warden, Ranger's Path. I like this card. 4 mana, but you get out 2 more land cards in your turn. You're running an elf deck. It's really not that hard to pop that off. Nature's Resurgence. I like the artwork. I love the little border here from Weatherlight. And so that's why when I see 1 or 2 of these pop up, I buy them. Twinhorn Elves. Again, always love some mana dorks. Abundant Growth. Add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Give a splash of another color to your green deck. Got a lot of them, but I always, if it's 1 or 2 or 3, I'll pick them up. Tormod's Crypt, great for Popper, because it gives that graveyard hate, and it's 0 mana cost. It was printed as common 1 time, so you can use these, and I think I got 3 of them in here. Conjurer's Bauble, Serrated Arrows, got a few of those. Wayfarer's Bauble, Sunpetal Grove. I personally like these. Of course, they're not as great as OG dual lands, but honestly, not that hard to have if you're running a 2-color deck. If you're running a green-white, you put that out, it's untapped, operates like a dual land. So, I love them. Running blue-black, Tainted Isle, it works. Similar. Turn 1, you do get to put out, it doesn't come in tapped, you can always put out a colorless mana, but you do get blue or black as long as you control a swamp. So, similar, as long as you control a swamp, black or green. And then, yeah, that was just a little token that the guy included because he did some acrylic stuff. So, yeah. So that was that claim sale. So in total, I spent about 700 ringgit, which at the time when I did this, when I bought from this sale, it was about 4.7 ringgit to $1. So I am not very good at mental math, but it was essentially floating around 150 USD for all those, which is not bad, especially because most of them were things that I was missing. And now, as a little surprise, I'm going to open up a Torment pack back from 2002. So, this is not as old as me. I was born in 1991, but this was long before I ever touched a Magic the Gathering card. So this is older than I even knew the game existed. I didn't come in until 2010. And yeah, I got these for about 10 bucks a piece from a giant lot I bought. So let's open them up. All right. Let's just go through, see if we get something crazy. Oh, tainted wood. Cool. Got another. Ooh, and a foil tainted isle. Sick. All right, let's just go through that a little slower again. So Churning Eddy, return target creature and target land to its owner hand. Putrid Imp, you can discard a card from your hand. It gains flying and it has a +1/+1 if you have 7 or more cards in your graveyard. Fiery Temper, deal 3 damage to target creature or player. It's got Madness for 1. Aven Trooper, see him all the time. Faceless Butcher, you move target creature other than Faceless Butcher from the game, and when it leaves play, that card comes back. Nantuko Calmer, you can sacrifice it, destroy a target enchantment, or again, it gets a +1/+1 with Threshold, which at that point it's a 3/4 for 4. Not that amazing. You get the Snitch. You can creature loses protection from black until end of turn. Frantic Purification, get Madness for 1 to destroy an enchantment. Unhinge, discards a card from his hand, you get to draw. So you could put a card into your own graveyard and draw a card. If you're running some sort of Madness deck, you could always throw that in, get a draw, discard a card, cast it for your cheaper Madness cost. Enslaved Dwarf, Obsessive Research, again, 1 or 1, draw a card. Tainted Isle, same thing, said before. Love Tainted. I like these tainted cards. Hypochondria, or Hypochondria. Yeah, Hypochondria. Yeah, almost thought should have said Hypochondriac. Mortal Kombat. Beginning of your upkeep, if 20 or more creature cards are in your graveyard, you win the game. And foil tainted isle. That's a beaut. All right. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you around next time. Bye.